Right. So for online people, is it audible? Everything is clear. Online people, is it audible? Everyone? Yes. Online, can you please once confirm, is it audible to everyone? Is it clear? Yes. Right. Uh, okay. So let's continue here. So yesterday we have discussed about how to deal with non-primitive types, working with the non-primitive types and dealing with them. In that, we learnt about the concept of what? Array. Array methods, as we learnt, all are same like how you deal with JavaScript. Today we will see another one. We will try to understand how to handle what? Object. So what is the concept of object in JavaScript? Already we know. Technically, concept of object is used to keep all related data and logic together. And usually it is a key and value collection. Technically about object, you already learned in your JavaScript. So it is a key value collection. And what is the point about is key is a string type and value can be any type. Key is a string type and value can be any type. So generally, how we can define the object, how we can configure the object syntactically. We have a reference name is equal to object is defined in a block with the key and a value. We can have multiple keys and values. Keys are string type and value can be any type. This is actually how you configure a object. So we can define key and value. So we can define the key and values. So we don't need to learn much about object because all concepts are same. You learned so many technical things about object. If you remembered in your JavaScript how you access the values of any object, you can access the members of object within object. How? By using this keyword. And you can access the members of object outside by using reference of object name, by using the reference of object name. So syntactically, if you defined where product is an object, this object is having some ID as one name is some TV like this. So we can access product dot ID. So we can access product dot name like this. Just rough syntax I'm giving here. So usually you learn more all details about objects. The same thing we will implement here in React also. The way how to deal with object is in the same concept how you done in JavaScript. Now in JavaScript, I hope you learned these points. Object related some questions. If anyone asks you like how to access all keys of an object, how we can access all keys from an object. In an object, how many keys are there? We want to access all of them. How do you access all the keys from an object? By using object dot keys. Object dot keys. We have object dot keys method. In JavaScript, you can access all the keys of an object by using object dot keys method. So, or you can use for in iterator. But you know that these iterators we cannot write in our JSX. Then in JSX we have to use which method? Object dot keys. What that object dot keys will do? It will return the keys of an object. That means actually we write like this. So object dot keys and the object name. We have to define the object name. That means actually what it is going to return? It is going to return the array of all the keys. It is going to return array of all keys. It returns an array of all keys present in that particular object. How many keys are present in an object? You can access by using object.keys. That is a JavaScript method. So we can access by using this technique. So we will implement this. All these options we will implement. Now another question is how to check the existence of a key in object. How to check the existence of a key in object, whether the key is present or not. How to check? How do you check whether a key is present or not inside object? How do you check? By using JavaScript in operator. JavaScript provides an in operator which is used to verify whether that particular key is available or not. It is going to return true or false. That means usually what we do syntactically, we say key in object name. It will return actually true or false. If that key is present inside that object, it will return true. That means we say ID in product. That will return true. If it is there, ID is present. So to verify whether a particular key is present or not, we have to use this. So that is checking for any particular key. How to remove a key from object? I don't want any key. Then how do you remove? How do you remove a key from an object? By using JavaScript delete operator. We have to use JavaScript delete operator. These are all the manipulations that you generally learn while working with objects in JavaScript. Creating object, accessing the data from the object, accessing all keys, accessing all values. So verifying whether that particular key is present or not, removing any particular key. Syntactically, how you remove a key? So we use delete operator, delete and object name dot key we have to define. That means delete some product dot ID, something like this. So how we can access the keys, how we can verify the keys, how we can remove the keys. We can remove the keys by using delete. So while working with the object keys, another one is how to know the type of data stored in a key. How to know what type of data stored in a key? Because in a key there can be any kind of data. It can be number, string, boolean, array, object, anything. How do you know? So by using JavaScript type of operator. You have to use type of operator. JavaScript have a type of operator which will verify what data type is present in a particular reference, and it will return the data type of that particular key. That means here we need to understand the type of. Syntactically what we do is, so we use actually type of product of key. That means it returns its data type. In that key, what value is present, its data type, it will return. Is it a number? Is it a string? Is it a boolean? Is it an array object? It will return the type. These are all the basic operations that we generally do while working with objects in JavaScript. Same works here. So the same concept works here also. That means, let's see here. So we are trying to handle some data and we want to deal with some object like data. Then how you define an object? Suppose I am using constant product and it is an object. So we use useState. Object is configured in a block. In that we have a key and a value. So key, suppose I give an ID and its value is 2. Some name, that is the key. The value is some TV. So some stock, it is having some boolean. It is having some rating, which is again an object in object. So we have rate as 4.5. Like this, we can handle some data here. Now, how do you present the data? You know, we can access this with reference of what? Product. So, and we can display. Suppose I'm displaying a heading here, product details. And I want to display a data list with a data term as product ID. And how do we get that ID and display here? So product dot, what is it? ID. Then it is going to access that and it is going to display that product ID here. So we are accessing the product ID and displaying that here. So anything you can access from an object directly. Suppose we want name. Then what we do here, we will put here product dot what name. Then it is going to access the product name and display. Dealing with an object is same as you have done in your JavaScript. Here simply in the binding expression we can define that. Now here the key concept is when we are dealing with such objects, how we can access from a JSON file. We will see that approach, how it works, how we can deal with the data in a JSON. We will take one real-time example. What is the real-time example is, suppose we will take here some Flipkart. In Flipkart, suppose we are selecting some mobiles. Okay. I am selecting some iPhone 15. Okay. And you can see this is the detail about the product. Now, whatever the data currently you are watching on screen, this data is actually coming from a JSON. Actually, data comes from API. APIs we will discuss in the next level, how to create, configure, access and work with API. But whatever data that you currently see in Flipkart or Amazon or anywhere, that data is actually coming from a JSON format. Usually data will be in either JSON or XML. These days we are majority using all JSON. Now, how JSON data is maintained, how it is accessed and displayed. We will see the process, how it works. So let's create this data in a JSON form. We will try to create this data in a JSON form. For that, I will copy this image also. I will take a sniping tool here and let me copy this image. Yeah. This is the image we have. This is the image. I'll just select the image and I will save this image in our project folder. Our project is in which location? React shopping in E drive, F drive. React shopping is our project. In that public. In the public, I am saving some iPhone. iPhone black.jpg. That is the picture we are storing because all static resources are kept in public. We have to keep all static resources in the public folder. Okay, now let's close this. Fine. Now we need this data to maintain in our project. So let's go and add a new file in the public folder. In the public folder, we are adding a new file. You learned in your JavaScript how to maintain a JSON file, how to access the JSON file, how to maintain JSON file. Suppose product.what.json. Product.json is the JSON file. Now in the JSON file, how you design an object? We have to create a block. This is an object. This object keys must be string type. And let's see what data they are having. iPhone 15 black, that is the title. So now this key is a title and title is this string, that is the title. Next, it is having another one. What is it? Price. It is having price and price is 65,499. That is the price. Next, we have another one is rating. Rating is again an object. And this object contains rate. So key is rate. Rate is 4.6 and it is having ratings. Ratings is 45131 and it have reviews. Reviews is again a value and reviews is 2430. So that is reviews. This is the data. So we have price, title, rating. Rating is again object which have rating, ratings and reviews. Next what? It is having some offers. Offers is an array. It is having lot of offers. That means we are having offers. Offers is an array. Array of string type. That means I will copy these offers. This is one string. That is array, and in the array this is one string, comma, and you know how to maintain an array of string, and this is second, and comma, and this is the third, and third, okay, comma, and we have the fourth one. Okay, this is array of string. These are all the offers they have. That means different bank offers, and we are storing that like an array. Now we have another one is, it is having image. Image is the photo source, where we kept the photo in public folder, and anything kept in public folder is directly accessible. You don't need to mention any path because already mapping is defined. We already use a Netflix background image. We don't need to mention the path. If anything is in public folder, we can directly access it. So what is it? iPhone black dot what? JPG. This is the data we are having. Currently, we are maintaining data in a JSON file. Later, we will learn how to put it in database, how to access from the database using APIs, and how to use the data coming from API. That all process we will able to do. As of now, to understand how to handle an object, we are maintaining object data in a JSON file. Later we will learn JSON servers also. Ready-made JSON servers are there to maintain pseudo APIs for our project. Later I will show you those also. Initially, first this JSON file, make sure that it is in public folder. If you keep this in any another folder, it cannot access. That means the images must be in public. The JSON also must be in public. Make sure that it is in the public folder only. Okay. Now in JavaScript, how you can access the data from a JSON and use in your project. In JavaScript, what you learned, how to access data from a JSON and use in our page, how to display in a page, how we can access data from a JSON in JavaScript. So to access data from JSON file, you need various AJAX techniques. To access data from a JSON file, you need various AJAX techniques. Actually, there are so many AJAX techniques. We have different techniques with different features. Now at experience level interviews, they will ask all differences. They will ask, why should not I use this? Why should I use only this? That means what are the different techniques I will explain. What are the various techniques of accessing data from a API and use that data in our project. What are the various techniques? I hope you people know that browser can understand AJAX only through one object, and that object is XML HTTP request. There is no other chance. Whatever technology you may be using, finally every technology have to depend on only one object in browser, and that object is XML HTTP request. This is the object which is used to handle AJAX requests in your website, in your application. In a browser, AJAX requests are managed by this. Remember, for developer convenience, we have different other methods and techniques, but all should finally use XML HTTP only. That means Java, .NET, PHP, Python, everybody have different AJAX methods, but in browser, all those are finally converted into XML HTTP. This is the native method of AJAX. Browser understands this method. I will show you. We have a fetch also. We have a fetch also. So fetch is a promise of JavaScript. We can use jQuery AJAX methods. We can use jQuery AJAX methods, or we can depend on third-party methods. Third-party AJAX methods. We can depend on third-party. I will show you all of them, and we will see what is the difference between them. We will try to understand the difference, because you cannot say which one is best. You can just use the best according to your requirements, according to your situation requirements. But all are having different features. So we will see how to handle the AJAX request, how we can access the data, how we can manage the data, right? Let's see how to do that. So I will create here a new component, AJAX demo, and let's add a new file, AJAX demo.jsx, and here we have export function AJAX demo, and we will return some simple markup here. This markup have a container fluid, and here I will just create a div. Actually, in this div, we want to show the data like this. We want to show the data like this. That means currently we will plan the data presentation like this. This we will do. That means left side one photo will come, right side its details will come. So I am planning here a column, class as call, row. In these two columns we need. One we will put class as call 3. Another one we will put class as what? Call 9. Because you need to share among 12, right? So left column, right column, two options are there. Left side the photo and right side the features, but all that comes from a JSON file. How to communicate with a JSON file? How do we access and use it? So what are the various techniques of that? So first important is how we can handle the data and how we can manage the data. The first technique, I will show you how to use XML HTTP request. So how to use this XML HTTP request? It is the native method, native AJAX method used by browsers. It is the native AJAX method used by browsers. So it provides various properties, so methods and events to connect with remote file or URL, and access the data So in JavaScript, almost everybody learns this, how to use an XML HTTP, because in JavaScript, we communicate with the remote files and URLs and access the data from them and display in our page by using this XML HTTP request. So how to design the request, how to handle the request, I will show here the point. Usually we will create an HTTP object, so which is an XML HTTP request object. So HTTP is an XML HTTP request object. We are creating an XML HTTP request object. This XML HTTP request object is responsible for making an AJAX call. In JavaScript, AJAX calls are made by using this object. How they are made? By using open method. Open method indicates the URL or the file path. You need to define the file path. That means from where you want to fetch the data, from where you want to access the data. That is defined by using open. Actually, it have so many other options also. What is that? It is actually having a method, it is having the URL, and it is having async. Async is a boolean. Boolean means it is true or false. That is the basic method. That means open uses the method, the URL, and async. So what is the method? Method defines, is it get or post. You are trying to fetch, then it is get. You are trying to send and save, then it is post. Right? The method indicates which HTTP method you are going to handle. Is it a get method or is it a post? I'm just giving the syntax first. After the defining the request method, we have to send the request. After defining the request, we have to send the request. This request will be sent by browser. Browser is going to process the request. And when AJAX request is processed, the request of AJAX will be processed on an event. That means AJAX request is sent and it is processed on an event called HTTP have an event on ready state change. On ready state change, that is the event. On ready state change uses a function. This function is going to execute the AJAX request. Whatever the AJAX request you sent, that AJAX request will be processed by an event called on ready state change. This is the event used by browser to process the AJAX request. That means it is a function. This function will execute and it will process your AJAX request. Once the AJAX request is processed, the AJAX response will have 4 status. AJAX response will have 4 status. Usually, once this is executed, AJAX request comes with 4 status. There will be 4 status. Actually, the status 1, 2, 3, 4 status will be there. The first status is initial status. Initial status means your request is sent. After the request is sent, second status Second number is the request processed successfully. First request is sent. After that, request processed successfully. After that, third state is request completed. That means processing done and request completed. After request completed, the fourth is response ready to come. That means the response is ready. Now you can use it. That means on which request, on which state, in which state our response is ready. Fourth state, we have to collect the response on phase number 4. Every AJAX request in JavaScript have 4 phases. JavaScript AJAX request have 4 phases. In the 4th phase, the response is ready. You can access on 4th phase. That means you need to check the phases here. How do we check the phases? If http.ready state is equal to 4, what does it means? It means that the response is ready. Ready state is 4. This indicates that response completed. Until or unless the ready state is 4, you cannot get the data. Data will not come. Data will come from the API or the file that you are connecting with when the state is 4. When the ready state is 4, then it will get the data. That means now the response comes. And whatever response comes, that response you have to use. How the response can be collected? So you can access the response. You can access the response by using we have http.response text. You can access the response by using http response text. So you can access by using http.response XML. That means the response usually majority comes in 2 formats. One is text, another one is XML. Suppose you are accessing the data from a JSON file. Data will not come in JSON, it will come in text. Then what you have to do, that text you need to convert into JSON and you have to use the data. That means the response from a file will come in the format of text or in the format of XML. If it is XML, directly you can use because we have response XML. But if it is HTML or JSON or some other format, we have to convert. We have to convert because the text will come in the format of string. So we have to convert that. This is the way how JavaScript communicates with any API or any remote file using AJAX. This is the pure JavaScript AJAX method. Not only this, every technology have to internally depend on this object only. Which object? XML HTTP request object. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it is going to work. What I am doing now, so I am making this AJAX demo in the startup. AJAX demo we kept in the startup. So currently AJAX demo is in the startup. So it is empty. There is nothing there. Okay, first we will go to AJAX demo and first we will design what kind of data we are trying to collect first. We have to collect the data, right? What we will do, constant, we will create product and we will use what? Set product. So use state and here you define the data. What kind of data you are expecting? You make the data strongly typed. From 18 version onwards, they made error handling more powerful than previous version. In previous version, errors were resolved at dynamic runtime, which was a problem for developer because developer cannot know the problem until or unless he runs it. That means actually in previous versions, we were using lot of dynamic data types. Dynamic data types are resolved at runtime. Compile time, if I do some spelling mistake or if I do some capitalization issue, it will not show any error. At runtime, it will show. That is one big problem. But in React 18 onwards, they handled compile time, run time, tracking the types. That is the reason now it is recommended to mention what type of data you are dealing. What is the data we are expecting for product? We are expecting an object. Okay, in that object, what you are expecting, you can be specific. What we are expecting? Title. Title is what type? String type. Title is string type. Put an empty string. So what else you are expecting? Price. Price is what type? Number type. 0. That is a number type. What else you are expecting? Rating. Rating is what type? Again an object. In that what you have? Rate is a number. Another one, reviews. Reviews also a number. Another one, ratings. Ratings is also a number. What else you are expecting? So we are expecting offers. Offers is what type? Array. Offers is an array type. And what else you are expecting? Image. Image is what type? String. This is how we define the data we are expecting. What is the type of data you are expecting from the file? You need to configure the data. This will avoid dynamic resolving. If you don't do this, it will get it, no problem. But dynamically, it will show problems if it is mismatching. Statically, it will not show. Statically means what? While typing itself, it will not provide any help. It will say that it looks okay. But when we run, it says that this is not found. This ID is not there. This name is not there. We should avoid that by using this technique. Okay. Now, when to fetch the data? We want to fetch the data at the time of mounting. So how to write a mounting phase? Use effect. By using use effect, you can write the mounting phase. We are writing the mounting phase. Okay. In this mounting phase, directly I will not write a logic. I will write a function called load data. Load data is a function. Here I will create the AJAX request. And we will call this load data in mount phase. Load data is called in mount phase. You know better always to enable reusability, write the logic in a function and access that and use it. Encapsulating some set of statements in a function in order to reuse the statements. What is this process called as? Encapsulating a set of statements into a function so that we can reuse those statements. What is that process known as? That process is known as refactor. That process is known as refactor. Refactoring. Refactor is the process of extracting some set of lines and storing in a function. If anybody asks you like, what is the purpose of a function? Then the technical answer is function is used to refactor the code. Refactor the code. For example, suppose, means in general I am showing you, suppose in general actually, yeah. Suppose in general you have some script. So you have a for where I is equal to 1, I less than 10 and I plus plus. Some statements are there. Document dot write I, so plus B or something. I want to reuse this again and again. Then what we do is select those lines and right click on those lines and you will find an option refactor. You will find an option refactor. And when you select that refactor, this refactor, it will refactor into a function. You can refactor into a function. And what is the function name? So print numbers. Like this we do. That means what is the concept of refactoring? Extracting the lines and storing in a function. Function creation is refactoring. These are technical terms. Refactoring means creating a function. That is the process of creating a function. So it is a general thing actually. When you right click in your JavaScript code, it will show the refactor. You select any lines. You want to use these lines again and again, right click and refactor. You can set them in a function. So here I am writing a function. Okay. Now this function is called at the time of loading. Now first what we will do, we have to make a AJAX call. So we need to create, let's see the syntax according to syntax, where which one? HTTP new, which object? XML HTTP request. You have to create an XML HTTP request object. After that HTTP dot open. What is the method? Method is get. And what is the URL? URL is which one? Product.json. That is the location. You don't need to mention public and all because by default they are accessible. Okay. Asynchronous true. Remember, if you don't give this, by default AJAX is synchronous. Means by default this XML method is synchronous. Means when it is making a request, fetching the data, it will block all other activities in the page. That means it will not allow any other activity in the page when it is doing this action. No, we don't want like that. We want it to be asynchronous. Means it will do this work in the background, others should work. It should perform this without blocking other tasks. That is the reason asynchronous true or false. Actually, this is asynchronous. This is asynchronous. That means here actually we use async. Async, we can set it to as true or false. By default, it is set it to what? True. Actually, by default, it is false. We have to set it to true because we want this action to perform without blocking. Without blocking. Okay. Next what? HTTP dot what? Send. Send that request. Now we need an event. What is that event? HTTP dot on ready state change is equal to function. And how do you know that it is ready? How do you know that it is ready? We have to use a condition. What is it? HTTP dot what? Ready state. Ready state is equal to 4. That means it is ready. Now we need to get the response and store the response. For your understanding, temporarily, I will use a log, console.log. By using the log, we will get http.response text. We will get the HTTP response text and see. Let's see the console. Right click, inspect, go to the console, and in the console, you see the data is coming. Data is coming from a JSON file, but it is a string form, not in a JSON form. It is in a string form. How do you convert the data into JSON form? Then you learned JavaScript methods, na? What we can use JSON, JSON dot what? Parse. JSON parse and parse the text. Text is converted into JSON. JavaScript have a JSON parse method which is used to convert the text into JSON. Then you will see the data is now in correct JSON form. Above it is a string form previously, but now it is in a correct JSON form. And we know exactly title is a string, image is a string, and offers is an array, price is a number, rating is an object. It is going to access that and display the data here. That means it is going to fetch that and display the data here. Now what we need to do, we need to present this data. We need to present the data. We know the data is coming, right? Where to store this now? Where to store this data? This data must be stored inside this product object now. Right, we have a local object. In that local object, we need to store the data. That means what we have to do, set what? Product. Into set product, we are accessing the data, converting that into JSON form and storing, because data is expected in JSON. Because it is expected in a JSON form, then we have to set product. Now data can be accessed with which reference? Product reference. With product reference, and where to display the data? So left side, we need a image. And what is the image source? This image source is coming from where? Dynamic. It is coming from which object? Product. Product have an image. That means it should get that image and display. And I will set this width as width is 100%, then it will fit the column there. It will fit the column there. And here I am just using this row margin top 4 and then little down. Okay, now right side, what we need to do is here, we need to display. I will keep a div here. And we will put a class as H4, heading 4. Here I want to display the product title. The product title will be displayed there. The title will be displayed there. And second, in the next line, we want to display margin top some 2 or 3. Here we want to display a div, and you know div will have a class badge. You know badge, BG success and rounded. And in this badge, what to display? In this badge, what we need to display? Product dot what? Rating. Product dot rating. And here we will put a span class BI star fill. And the rating will be displayed there. Suppose, yeah, it is actually not rating, directly rating dot what? Rate. Right? It is going to get that and show. That is the rating we are displaying. And beside the rating, what else we are having? We have a span. This is a class font weight as bold. Font weight as bold, and bold is enough. Font weight is bold, and we will have text secondary. And here we want to display product dot rating dot ratings. Ratings we need to display, and I will give the word as ratings, and we need another binding. What is it? Product dot rating dot what? Reviews, and we use the word reviews, and it is going to access the ratings and reviews and show there. And I hope I kept them in the badge. I will put outside the badge. I will put outside the badge, then it looks fine. That looks fine. And you know these ratings and reviews are numeric type. Then two local string, we know na. So two local string, will just two local string, that is enough. It will put a comma. Right? That means 1,000 separator will come. The reviews also we need to display as what? Two local string, and it is going to display that reviews. Now comes important. Below this division, so we have another div. So margin top class name, margin top as 4. And here we have a another class also H2. And here we want to display product dot price, and price will display like this. And what we want to do is two local string en hyphen in. And what is the style? Style is what? Currency. And what is the currency? Currency is INR. We are displaying that INR. That will display in this. You learnt already two fixed, all other options. You can add this format, right? And below this, I want, this is heading 3 style I will give. Little smaller, fine. Below this, I want all the offers. I will give a div. So below this, we are adding the div. Okay, below this, we will keep a div. In this div, we will put an unordered list. Right? This is the unordered list we are having, and here we want to display all offers. And how do we access the offers? What is it? Product dot offers. Offers is an array. Yesterday we learned how to deal with an array. What we have to do? Map. We have to map, and we need to read every offer. And for every offer, we need to generate a list item. And here in that list item, we will display the offer in a span. I am displaying the offer. And here we need a key. Am I right? Key is what? Offer. What is key? Every repeating item needs a unique reference. In React, it is mandatory. Now the offers will display like this. And what I will do is for this here, actually, for these offers that I am displaying, so I will put here class as what? Class as list unstyled. Then it is going to remove the numbering. And what we will do is every list item will have a class called bi tag fill and the text success. Then it will give the tag symbol there. And every list item will have margin y as 2. That means some gap between those offers. 3, some gap between those offers. But I don't want this text to be in green color. Then this span will have a class called what? Text secondary. Then text will be in gray. Only the image will be in green. That means the icon will be in the green color. That means we are displaying the data in this way. So we are accessing data from a JSON and we are displaying. Remember, as of now, we are using only one object. There can be several array of objects. That means we can have a lot of complex data in the next level. But first, the concept is how you fetch the data from any API or how you fetch data from a JSON and use the data in our project. This is the primary thing a React developer should know, and every day his work will be with this only. But the point is we are doing that by using the native method of XML HTTP, which is a traditional JavaScript technique. JavaScript people actually learn this as a native technique of communicating with any API. That's a very basic thing actually. But there are so many issues here. That's the reason we have some other solutions. So I will give an example here first. I will give an example. This is AJAX demo.what.jsx. I will copy this example. For this actually, this example I have to give in public folder. In public folder, there is a file called, what is it? Product.json. That file also I will give to you. That means what file I created, product.json. And you have to keep that. Remember, JSON files are very strict. Any problem in ending any key and any problem in defining a value will give an error saying that invalid JSON. Make sure that your JSON is well structured. So because in JSON capitalization matters, ending matters. If you miss them, it will be showing an error, invalid JSON. So this is the example. But now the point is, what are the issues with XML HTTP request? What are the issues with XML HTTP request object? That means if anybody asks like, okay, it is working, then why I am not using this? After all, many JavaScript people even don't know this, because JavaScript people know in the modern JavaScript, they know another technique. What is the technique? Fetch, right? So usually XML HTTP request, what are the issues with XML HTTP request? You saw already some issues. One important issue is it is synchronous by default. Synchronous by default. It is synchronous by default. So you have to explicitly configure async. You have to explicitly configure asynchronous. That means if you don't mention sync or async true, then by default it is synchronous. You have to make it explicitly asynchronous. Another important is it requires various parsing techniques to parse data. So it returns the data in text format, or optionally XML. But if you are dealing with a JSON file, if you are dealing with a HTML file, if you are dealing with any another file, data will be by default in text form only. What is the problem of having data in text form? So text, that means data in text format can be blocked by firewalls. Firewall may block the data that is coming in a text form, because text form data can be easily infected with virus. That is the reason technologies use JSON and XML, because JSON and XML, they are not infected by virus. What is the main purpose of XML? XML is not infected by virus. XML can flow through the firewalls. It can flow through the firewalls. Firewalls cannot block them. So if data is in a text form, it can be infected with virus. If any suspicious infected data comes, then firewalls will block the data. So another important problem is, so we have CORS issues. CORS issues will be there. CORS issues is cross origin resource sharing. Cross origin resource sharing issues will be there. Cross origin resource sharing means in one server between two port numbers, some data is being transferring, then server will block it. It is thinking that some suspicious sharing is happening. For example, later I will tell you, in distributed computing architecture, two applications running on two different machines can share information. Two applications running on same machine also can share information which is not secure. For example, in your mobile, you are using Make My Trip. In Make My Trip, you are searching flights from Delhi to Hyderabad. Okay, close. Now you open YouTube or Facebook. Suddenly you will see advertisement for that in YouTube. How come YouTube know what I done in my Make My Trip? That means applications in your mobile are sharing information across, which is dangerous. They are sharing information across, that is dangerous. That means bank sends an OTP to an SMS and it can read the OTP automatically without you type it. That is not great. That is not good idea. That means you are allowing another application to access my data from this application. So that is the reason you see majority of securities like Apple, Mac, what they say, when you install an app, they will ask, do you want this app to share data with other apps? They will ask. Android may not ask that, but these Apple folks will ask, do you want to share with other apps? You say no, don't track. Then it will not allow other apps to track the data in your app. That is not possible everywhere. That is the point. CORS issues will come. That means your data can be shared with other apps. Security issues will be there. Another important problem, actually it is not very good in error handling. It is not very good in error handling. So where the problem came, how the problem came, what is the problem, that cannot track easily. So these are all the issues with XML HTTP. That is the reason modern JavaScript learners, they don't know this, because in modern JavaScript they teach you another technique. What is the second technique that you learnt? So what is the second technique you learnt is fetch. Fetch. So what is a fetch in JavaScript? Actually, fetch is JavaScript. Fetch is JavaScript promise. It is a JavaScript promise. Fetch is a JavaScript promise. It is a JavaScript promise. And you know what is the speciality of promise? Promise is async by default. Async by default. Actually, XML HTTP, it is synchronous. We have to explicitly make it asynchronous, but fetch is by default asynchronous. By default, it is asynchronous. Another point is it returns every data in binary form. Every data will come in a binary form. Binary form is easy to read, but conversion again is required. That means what you have to do is you have to convert. You have to convert the binary data into JSON. You have to convert the binary data into JSON again. So it is better in handling CORS, and it is better in handling errors. It is better, but it is not best because it is still having certain issues. It cannot correctly tell where the problem exactly it is. That is again a big issue. That means you learned in JavaScript exception handling, try, catch, throw, finally. You know that JavaScript don't have any error library. So it cannot catch the error until or unless you explicitly throw the error. Without throwing the error, you cannot catch the error. Actually, in other languages, exception handling, they throw the error when they find the error. But in JavaScript, you have to explicitly throw and catch. That's the reason it is not great in error handling, but it is little simplified and better when compared to XML HTTP. XML HTTP. Generally, how we use the fetch? We use the fetch. How you use the fetch? So fetch uses the URL or the file path, and it is having the method .then. That is the function callback on success. Actually, this will get the response. This is this response. It will have catch. That is the function that is on error. It will catch the error. And we have finally. So finally contains the function to execute always. Always what to execute you define by using finally. Generally, in JavaScript, every promise have a then, catch, and finally. Promise is designed with then, catch, and finally. JavaScript promises. You learn JavaScript callbacks and JavaScript promises. And JavaScript fetch is a JavaScript promise type. And it is more simple in handling the requests, managing the request. That means what happens now? Let's do the simple thing. What I am doing now here. So I am removing this code of just this code. That means I am in the load data, I am deleting XML HTTP. In load data, I am deleting XML HTTP. Now data is not there. It is empty now. Let's refresh this. Now data is empty. Right now what we are using now, very simple. We use what? Fetch. Fetch from which location? Product.json. Then uses a callback function which will get the response. Actually, the first response is in a binary form. This response should be converted into JSON. After that, the second then is going to collect the product data. This product data, where to set the product data? We have to use what? Set product. Into set product, we need to send the data. That's it. This is JSON data accessing by using fetch. This looks simplified better, but this internally uses XML HTTP because browser don't understand this. Browser understands only XML HTTP. This is translated into XML HTTP, but for developer this is easy. That means now it is going to fetch the data and show same. This is the same working here, but this time we are not using XML HTTP, we are using a simple fetch. So fetch from this particular file, initially data comes in binary, convert to JSON. Catch that JSON data that it throws, then it will collect and it will store inside the product. That's it. Now that product displaying is same everywhere, right? This is by using fetch. Same example. This is example AJAX demo, but this time we are using what? JSON. Fetch also have some drawbacks. And to overcome those drawbacks, we use jQuery AJAX. jQuery AJAX is having better features, but it also have some issues. Then we use other third parties. And React people have to know all the techniques, because in different project, different scenarios, they use different. We should know all of them. How to use a third party, how to use jQuery AJAX, how to use JavaScript, fetch, and XML HTTP. Today we have learned two. One is JavaScript, XML, HTTP, another one fetch. Now tomorrow we will see how to use jQuery AJAX and how to use third parties to use communication with the APIs in React. That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right.